Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time and attention this morning. What I'm going to be talking to you about today is what I'd like to call big data, another word for standardized assessment data or results. We'll be completing an overall look at demographic changes that have occurred within Stone Mountain Middle in comparison to DeKalb County School District. We will also review CRCT reading, language arts, and math data for 2011 through the 2014 administration, comparing the student results for Stone Mountain Middles to the results of the district. Due to our time constraints this morning, we will not be comparing the results of the grade level content areas. However, you will be breaking into groups in which you will look at the data by your content and your grade levels, and you will identify strengths and weaknesses. I will be presenting to you the strengths and weaknesses that I have located. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answers and discussion session. The purpose of this data overview is to analyze Stone Mountain Middle School's CRCT results over the past 4 years to identify areas of strengths and weaknesses in reading, language arts, and math for the 6th through 8th grade. We'll answer 3 questions. What content areas are we doing well in, and which ones need improvement? Which grade levels are doing well, and which ones seem to be struggling and require additional support? And lastly, do enrollment patterns and/or populations play a role in student performance? We will also use the data to identify trends and determine what will guide our plan of action. We will begin by comparing the enrollment data for Stone Mountain Middle to the district. Enrollment in Stone Mountain Middle has declined over the past 4 years. The Black student population remains the largest. However, in 2014, the number of Black students enrolled was 1,006, down from 1,169 in 2011. This was a 14% decrease. The next largest population is our Hispanic population, and there was an increase in this enrollment from 67 in 2011 to 96 in 2014, which is a 30% increase. When comparing the enrollment of Hispanics, Blacks, Whites, and Asian students in Stone Mountain Middle to the enrollment in the DeKalb County School District for the school years between 2011 and 2014, the following results were revealed. The Asian student population made up 5% of the enrollment at Stone Mountain Middle, as well as 5% in the school district. The Black population, however, made up 85% of the enrollment at Stone Mountain Middle School and 69% in DeKalb County School District. Again, the next largest population was the Hispanic population, and it made up 8% of the enrollment at Stone Mountain Middle and 14% at the district level. Lastly, our white student population made up a mere 1% of the enrollment at Stone Mountain Middle School and 9% at the district level. When looking at the number of economically disadvantaged students enrolled at the county and school levels, the numbers are staggering. The total enrollment of economically disadvantaged students in 2014-2015 school year in the district was 80,703. Of that number, 16,147, or 20%, were at the middle schools, and that number was slightly higher during the 2011-2012 school year, in which 21% of the enrollment was in the middle school. Stone Mountain Middle School total enrollment for the 2014-15 school year was 1,189, and of that number, 1,075, or 90%, were economically disadvantaged. In comparison to the enrollment in 2011-2012, there were 1,353 students enrolled, and 1,248 were economically disadvantaged, or 92%. This is another view of the trend in enrollment at Stone Mountain Middle School by grade level. As I previously stated, enrollment has declined. The highest number of students enrolled was in 2011-2012 school year, where there were 1,353 students enrolled. In the 2012-2013 school year, there was 1,328. The numbers continued to decline, and our lowest number was in 2013-14 school year, in which we had 1,186 students enrolled. And during the 2014-15 school year, there was 1,189 students enrolled. The difference in enrollment from 2011 to 2014 was a 12% decrease. Now we will do our comparison between the school to the district of the 2011-2014 CRCT results. Between the 2011-2014 CRCT results. When comparing the results of the 2011 administration of the CRCT in the areas of reading, language arts, and mathematics, the Stone Mountain Middle School outperformed the district in each content in the meets the standard or level 2 category. We outperformed by 20% in reading, 14% in language arts, and 16% in math. The number of students that did not meet the standard was comparatively equal. When comparing the results of the 2012 administration of the CRCT in the areas of reading, language arts, and mathematics, Stone Mountain Middle School again outperformed the district in each content in the meets standard level 2 category. Again, we did 20% better in reading, 15% better in language arts, and 25% better in mathematics, which is a very good number because mathematics, as you will see, is our weakest areas. However, the number of students that exceeded were slightly higher in the district level in all content areas. Again, the number of students that did not meet the standard was comparatively equal. When comparing the results of the 2013 administration of the CRCT in the areas of reading, language arts, and mathematics, Stone Mountain Middle School again outperformed the district in each content in the meets the standard or level 2 category. The numbers of the students who exceeded the standard were slightly higher for the district. However, Stone Mountain Middle School did increase for reading from 18% to 24% and up 1% for language arts. Again, the number of students that did not meet the standard was comparatively equal, although the percentage has decreased for Stone Mountain Middle School from the 2011 administration in reading. It was down 3%, language arts was down 3%, and math was down 8%. Lastly, when comparing the results of the 2014 administration in the same content areas, Stone Mountain Middle School again outperformed the district in each content area in the meets standard level 2 category. The number of students that exceeded slightly were higher in the district. However, Stone Mountain Middle School's percentage did increase again in reading, language, and language arts, further shrinking the gap between the district and the school in exceeding the standard. There was a 3% decline in the number of students that did not perform on level 2 for mathematics. They increased the level 1 by 6%. Again, the number of students that did not meet the standards in ELA and math and reading was comparatively equal to that of the district. As I stated, I have handed out, all of you should all have a copy of the 2011 to 2014 CRCT results by content and grade level. I have also placed on each table a piece of chart paper in which you can all write down your ideas, your questions, your interventions, your identified strengths and weaknesses for each of your content areas. So if you can all break into your groups now, we will come back together in 15 minutes so that we can review the strengths that I've identified and continue on with the presentation. I'm going to skip through these charts right quick to get down to where my strengths and weaknesses that I've identified for the CRCT data. The percentage of 8th grades performing at level 2 and level 3 for reading increased by 3% between 2011 and 2014, from 93% to 96%. Another strength was that the 6th grade students performing on level 2 and 3 for reading increased by 6% between 2011 and 2014, from 89% to 95%. In 8th grade, language arts was a relative strength over the past 4 administrations of the CRCT. The percentage of students performing on level 2 and 3 were 90%, 91%, 89%, and 91% respectively. The weaknesses that I identified was that there was a 26% of the 6th grade students performing on level 1 on the math section of the CRCT from 2011 through the 2014 administration. There was a 21% of the students on the 7th grade level that performed on level 1 on the math section of the CRCT from the 2011 through 2014 administration. And 22% of the 8th grade students performed on level 1 on the math section of the CRCT from between the 2011 and 2014 administration. Now is our discussion section. I want you to consider these questions. Why is it important to dig into the data? What can the CRCT data tell us about our 6th to 8th grade students? What does the CRCT data fail to identify? More specifically, how can we use this data to improve academic achievement? What areas did you identify as strengths? What areas did you identify as needs improvement? And how can we adjust our instructional practices to enhance the opportunity for improvement in academic success? We've looked at the data. Now what? First, we must determine how to respond to the data we've seen. Next, we have to establish a norm of no blame and implement the collaborative inquiry approach and establish a data culture. And we have to use data-driven dialogue, collaborate with grade level content members to interpret and analyze the data to identify student learning problems or weaknesses. And once the student learning problems have been identified, the teams can then develop an action plan. The action plan will provide us a blueprint to guide the improvement of instruction that will lead to student improvement and student learning. Are there any questions? I would like to leave you with this one quote. The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Michelangelo. I thank you again for your time, your attention, your participation, and your grace. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be seeing each other again, in which we will be able to look further into the data. If you have any questions, please feel free to see me at any time. Thank you. Have a great day.